Yeah, another important trade theory is Porter's national competitive advantage theory. So before this, what is this competitive advantage? So a recent study conducted that competitive superiority is derived from four factors, such as demand conditions, factor endowment, related and supporting industries, and firm strategy, structure and rivalry. So these are the four factors that gives a competitive advantage to the organization. So these four factors are demand conditions, factor endowment, related and supporting industries and firm strategy, structure and rivalry. Companies get competitive superiority from these four factors. There's demand conditions, factor endowment, related and supporting industries, firm strategy, structure and rivalry. So we should understand the combined effect of all these four factors on the development and continued existence of competitive advantages. So all the four factors need not always be favorable for a company to get global supremacy. But the interactive effect of these four factors need to be favorable. So if an industry or a company in a country is to gain a global competitive advantage, all these favorable four factors are very important. These are all determinants of a global competitive advantage. What we have discussed, these four factors: demand conditions, factor endowment, related and supporting industries, firm strategy, structure and rivalry. These are the determinants of global competitive advantage for the firm. So now we shall discuss these four elements of the diamond. I mean, you are looking at this, firm strategy, structure and rivalry, factor endowment, related and supporting industries, demand conditions. These are the four factors in the diamond shape. So Porter's thesis is that four broad attributes of a nation shape the environment in which local firms compete. And these attributes promote or impede the creation of a competitive advantage for the country or organization. So factors here are factors of production. So elements of this, all these four factors are factor conditions, demand conditions, related and support industries, firm strategy, structure and rivalry. So let us take factor conditions. Yes, taken this factor endowment. On the left side you see the slide. Factor endowments are factor conditions. So these factor conditions include factors of production. Hexer-Rowling theory, we have seen, deals with the classical factors: land, labor, capital, and organization. Porter emphasizes other factors like educational levels of the labor and quality of the country's infrastructure as against excess Olin's factors, classical factors. So countries' ability to compete globally depends upon the country's factor resources. For example, research, innovation, training, and so on and so forth. If you take United States of America, it has rich factor endowments and enjoys top position in the world trade and world economy. So these are the factor conditions. If the country endowed with all these factors, then all this gives a competitive advantage for the country. And the other element is demand conditions. The existence of a larger number of sophisticated domestic consumers who are economically able and willing to consume, create and improve the demand for various products in the country. So this is another important element that gives a competitive advantage. Consumer base who are able to and willing to consume those products, creating demand for the products. The companies improve the existing products and develop new products to meet the increasing demand. I told you many times that we need more of many things, not the same thing. We don't stick to only one product throughout. So consumers shift from existing products to new products. When you have such kind of customer base who wants new products, who wants to create a demand for the product, then that gives a competitive advantage for the company or country. So that's why the size of the market is very important. So in addition, domestic companies compete with each other. Definitely there is a severe competition. These domestic countries compete with each other in developing existing and new products. So as such, some of the processing domestic companies would be ahead of the international companies and export to other countries. For example, Japanese you take. So Japanese companies developed camcorders, big screen TVs and VCRs better than the international companies and exported them to the European and North American countries after meeting the domestic demand. This is how this domestic demand condition is another factor that determines the competitive advantage of the countries. And related and supported industries, another factor. This is another element. So the emergence and growth of an industry provide the scope for the development of suppliers of raw materials, market intermediaries, financial companies, consuming agencies, ancillary industries, etc. So these supporting service agencies compete among themselves, leading to high input quality and lower prices. Obviously, when there are so many suppliers of these resources to the big industries, then they take care of the quality of the input and also the prices. The availability of high quality inputs and lower prices in the domestic country enhances competitive advantage of the firm internationally. So the quality of the material, quality of labor, quality of all other factors also at cheaper prices, lower prices would definitely give a competitive edge to the company internationally. Then the other element, the factor that determine the competitive advantage to the firm is firm strategy, structure and rivalry. How the system and activities have been structured within the organization. What strategies the company has adopted to take on global business. So firms continuously improve the quality, product design, invest in R&D in order to compete domestically. They also invest in human resource development, technology, etc. in the domestic market. So these developments result in high quality and lower prices in domestic country, which are transferable to international markets. The intense competition for Japanese automobile manufacturers and electronics goods manufacturers led to their success in international markets. The same theory holds good in case of Indian garment manufacturers and US personal computer manufacturers. See, these areas, garment products, textiles, gave advantage to the India. PCs, personal computers, they gave advantage to America, competitive advantage to America. Same way, automobile manufacturing and electronic goods, Japanese have competitive advantage. So these are the different factors that would determine the competitive advantage for the organization or for the country. So these are the four important elements in Porter's national competitive advantage. So country would definitely have this competitive advantage through these four factors. To conclude, Porter's theory blends the traditional country-based theories and the firm-based theories. So we have to take all the theories into consideration to understand and explain the trade structure, direction, and flows among countries. The firm-based theories are more helpful rather than country-based classical theories. Strategic advantages of exports is another important thing. The strategic advantage of exports include use of excess capacity, cost reduction per unit, greater profitability, and risk spreading. So use of excess capacity, companies whose production capacity is more than the domestic demand tend to export. You can see there are so many small countries, Japan, Germany, Thailand, Korea, all these are small countries, Switzerland. So their domestic market is very small, but they are producing on large scale. So they can export all that excess production after meeting the domestic demand. So the plants in those small countries can use this full plant capacity. That's use of excess capacity. So companies in smaller countries have this advantage as the demand for the product in the domestic country would be less than the production capacity. Here we can take one example, Volvo. This automobile, Volvo, could export from the small Swedish market than the General Motor of the USA. So Swedish is small market. They produce, Volvo is a Swedish company. So they export these Volvo products to the international markets than the General Motors of the USA. The USA is very big country. It's more than 6-7 times to India in area wise. But they have 30 plus crores of population. Compared to Asian countries, China and India, its market size is less, small. But Swedish is still small. So they are exporting more than this General Motors of the USA. That's the use of excess capacity. And the another one is cost reduction. So research studies indicate that cost of production per unit can be reduced by 20 to 30% when output is doubled. Here companies will have the economies of scale. When you buy anything, the resources on large scale, you get a discounted prices. So cost reduction is due to coverage of fixed cost over a large output, increasing efficiency due to experience gain, lower input rates due to purchases in larger quantities. The experience curve also contributes for cost reduction. The companies with the lower cost advantage gain the opportunity to export. For example, Toyota of Japan gained the opportunity to export based on the low cost of production. Then the other one is a greater profitability. Producers may have the advantage of selling the product at a profitable price in a foreign market. This situation happens due to the different stages of product life cycle in different countries. Mature or decline stage in domestic country and growth stage in foreign market enable the domestic company to export the product at a profitable price. So another thing is risk spreading. Companies can spread the risk of business by exporting the product to a number of countries. Say for example, Donaldson company. This Donaldson company, a US manufacturer of filters, air cleaners, etc., could achieve record earnings in 1991 despite recession in domestic market. So these are the strategic advantages of exports. This use of excess capacity, cost reduction, greater profitability, risk spreading are these are the strategic advantages of exports. So some important points, overall this trade theories to conclude this. International trade takes place due to differences in opportunity cost. So summing up all the theories overall. So international trade takes place due to differences in opportunity cost, if you take the first theory, mercantilism, according to mercantilism, countries should export more than they import and receive the difference in gold. Then a decay of gold standard reduced the validity of mercantilism theory. So according to Adam Smith, free trade enables a country to produce a variety of goods and services. So every country should specialize in producing those products at the cost less than that of other countries. The natural advantage is due to climatic condition, natural resources, etc. All this gives an advantage to the countries and the companies in producing their products. The acquired advantage is due to technology and skill development. See here, a competitive advantage can be acquired sometime and some accrue to the companies and countries naturally. That's natural advantage. So when country is bestowed with abundant resources, naturally the companies from that country are in advantageous position. Where technology is an acquired one, so technology also gives a competitive advantage to the firm, so which can be acquired. So acquired advantage is due to technology and skill development. So countries should produce and export those products for which it is relatively more productive than other countries and import other products. We have seen that relative effect, relative advantage, cost comparison, theory of cost comparative theory. Comparative cost advantage theory says that countries, countries should produce and export those products for which it is relatively more productive than other countries, and import the other products from those countries. So then when you come to factor endowments theory, factor endowments are land, capital, natural resources, labor, climate, all these are factor endowments. And they vary among countries. International trade takes place among the countries that are at the same stage of economic development. And product life cycle theory, which we have discussed today, this provides inputs for manufacturing, trade, and investment decisions. And international trade takes place between companies, among companies, based on relative competitive advantage, but not country's competitive advantage. So companies get competitive advantage, superiority from different elements, demand conditions, factor endowment, related and supporting industries, firm strategy, structure and rivalry, which we have discussed in Porter's competitive advantage. Porter's national competitive advantage. So these are the important points to remember with regard to this international trade theories. So I think all the theories we have completed. We